Alright everyone, it's time for the Occult video number 331. Why do Christians claim, sometimes, this is not all Christians, that they didn't appropriate pagan holy days, or holidays as you would generally term them? This is partially a response to Jack Posobiec, who's gotten on the kick of the Christian supremacy thing, and now apparently has come to the misguided belief that Halloween was invented by Christians. I know where his mistake comes from. Halloween is technically 2 days when you think about it. You've got All Hallows Eve, if you're a Christian, that's what you would term it, which was yesterday, and then the next day is All Saints' Day. The original holiday, when you're talking about Samhain, or Samhain, or whatever you want to term it, the Celtic holiday, is the beginning of November. Well, then it's not technically the same physical day. When you have, though, 2 days lined up next to each other, the fact is that you've tacked your own holiday onto a pre-existing holiday in the same general region of time. You're doing things that are from paganism. It's fundamentally a pagan holiday. Let me ask, though, a really important question here. Why does it matter that the holiday was initially pagan? Trying to literally, I don't want to use a cringe term, but literally appropriate the holiday as though you thought it up yourself, is itself kind of cringe when you could just simply say, hey, we Christianize it. Well, we civilized this holiday. They were like, doing heretical things, but now we have a better way to celebrate the same basic frame of time. We've changed the name and worship Jesus. Something like that. Easter, great example. Easter was not invented by Christians. Easter was invented by pagans. It's a fertility holiday, literally a movable feast. The Christians, by the way, keep the movability. You can't argue that the concept comes from Christianity. It comes from many centuries earlier. But the Christians changed it. The same is true of Christmas. Christmas is fundamentally a winter solstice activity, although it's not on exactly the same day. There's some wiggle room there depending on culture. It is initially pagan. It is Yule, and among other names. Those basic practices became Christianized. The Christians took some of them out. They don't tend to have drunken orgies and take mushrooms like Vikings maybe would, but it's the same period of time. It's got the same astronomical importance. Most of these holidays are astronomical in nature. You'll notice that they tend to line up with certain astronomical phenomenon. The Christians didn't invent that concept. It was already being done thousands of years before the Jews wrote anything down. But why does it matter? You have reinterpreted or remade the holiday, and you've turned it Christian. Technically, yes, the way in which you're celebrating All Hallows Eve is a new holiday. It wasn't invented by pagans. But it comes from paganism, and the Christians acknowledge this. If you look at some of the writings of early Catholics, like, oh yeah, we're trying to get these people to understand, the holiday's fine, but you're worshiping the wrong God. The whole goal was to convert the pagans by basically giving them the kickback of keeping their holidays and simply changing them in some vague ways. And over time you have other Christian movements. Once Rome becomes fully Christianized, starts suppressing the pagans, then they deviate the holidays further in some cases. As time moves on, Europe becomes much more Christian. For the first few hundred years, there's still big disagreements over religion, right? About you get to 12 or 1300s, most of that's been snuffed out with the exception of the Islamists and the Moors and the Ottomans and shit throughout time over the course of centuries. Invasion, reverse invasion, the Crusades, the Saracens, and all this stuff going on. But claiming that you didn't appropriate the day is bullshit. This would be like if you're a secularist, you're atheistic. You celebrate a secular Christmas with Santa Claus and stuff. Now, Santa, again, is an adaptation of certain Christian and pagan iconography, but it'd be like them saying, well, no, it wasn't really a Christian holiday. Look at Santa. No. This was invented for atheistic purposes, in part by the Coca-Cola Company. Well, you're technically right, but you'd also be lying, because you also did appropriate the idea of having a holiday on that day or in that frame of time of astronomical significance. That comes from paganism. A lot of the trappings in secular Christmas come from Christendom too. They come from the Christian variant of Christmas that's celebrated. It's not Yule. It's not technically exactly the same. Halloween, the idea of giving people Tootsie Rolls has nothing to do with the souls of the dead. It has nothing to do with the closest approximation in modern practice, really, Halloween, All Saints' Day, etc., that would be authentic is jack-o'-lanterns. Although I think generally they used gourds and even turnips back then, as opposed to like this particular kind of pumpkin. Maybe they used other crops too. Who fucking knows? Here's my cantaloupe jack-o'-lantern. That'd be an interesting idea, by the way. Since it's got several layers of color, you could probably do some interesting things with that. Regardless, Easter, all of these other holidays, they are initially pagan. The idea is taken by Christians, Christianized, and turned into fundamentally a new holiday with that pagan core. And some of the practices are still paganized. Essentially, it was outreach to the pagan communities. Yeah. You're nailing the tree up on your ceiling. Well, that's kind of heretical. Just put it the normal way. Now it's the Holy Trinity. See, it's okay now. It's holy. This pagan practice has become Christianized because we turned the tree around 180 degrees. Kind of what happened, by the way, in the terms of the Christmas tree. And then it gets changed further and secularized. The average person, including many Christians, fundamentally has secularized Christmas. They celebrate a secular Halloween. They don't celebrate. They don't think of Jesus when they're watching Evil Dead. They might, but the goriness is there. They're not watching Passion of the Christ on the 31st of October. They're watching Slayer movies, slasher flicks and shit like that. They're watching Leatherface cut people up. What does that have to do with Christ? That's about all. Peace out.